Okay, I marked out where I want my trench with a string line, and then I put a little paint down in that line just so I have a nice straight trench. It makes it real easy for marking out a straight trench. And now I remove the string line and I start digging. So I'll get back with you. Probably won't be till tomorrow because it's going to take me a little while to dig this. So, all right, I'll see you then. Okay, it's day 4 of my week-long stay. It's March 29th. It's about 12:30, and it's sitting right at 61 degrees. All right, so this is what I did. I got most of the trench dug yesterday evening, just before it got dark, and then me and my son came out and finished it off this morning. So, got a nice straight trench, and I'm mounting my 30 amp RV outlet right here. It's not preferred that I was going to use a 2x4 for this, but that's all I had. I was contemplating using another one of those poles for the solar power that I brought up here, just cutting it down, but nah. This is probably temporary anyways. You know, eventually I'll probably move this whole setup, but the box is mounted. Code calls for 24 inches above ground, so I'm just like an inch over that, so I'm good there. It's going to be fully grounded, and this is a 30 amp outlet that goes inside here, and I think it'll be really nice once it's done. So we get to putting all this together, and I'll get back with you when I'm done. Okay guys, so this is what I got done, and I had to have the help of my son with this because it was actually pretty difficult, but I got my conduit run. This stuff's pretty thick. It's 4 wire. I don't know how thick that is. Almost a 1/2 inch. And then I also ran the coax cable for my cell phone signal booster through the same conduit. So this comes out of here, little loop, and into the building. I'm going to put a little caulk in that hole there to seal that up. Then it goes in. Through the wall here, down, and then back into the conduit. Here's my wire for the RV outlet. It's wired into the conduit, and they both go through the conduit all the way down, up and into the box. And then the coax cable just loops back out the bottom here. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm gonna have to tidy this up a little bit on the wood here, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I may put another conduit here and around for that when I make that more permanent. The difficult part was getting that 30 amp wire along with the white coax cable through this 3/4 inch conduit. The difficult part is each fitting at the end of the coax cable is quite a bit wider than the cable itself. So when you couple that with the thickness of that 30 amp wire, I mean, it was difficult. We both had to pull on it to get it through the conduit. It was not easy to do that. But after a couple hours, we got it all done. It looks all nice and neat, and we just have to bury it now. So we might do that tonight, and then or we might wait till tomorrow. I'm not sure. We're gonna go for a little ride right now, and then I got a whole bunch of stuff to clean up after all this. I made kind of a mess, but My biggest worry was stringing that cell phone signal cable with the 30 amp wire. I was worried that while I had the power running, that there might be some kind of electrical interference, and it might mess up my cell phone signal, but it doesn't, and I'm happy about that. It's still strong signal with LTE signal in there for data, so it's all good. I just need to bury it. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go, and me and my son are gonna take off for a ride, and we'll be back in a little bit, and we'll see what happens then. Good morning, guys. This is day 6 of my week-long stay up here at the cabin. I didn't do an update yesterday because when we got up, I checked the weather on the weather app, and it said that a storm was going to be moving in the afternoon. So we wanted to get out there and get as much work done as we could, and we did. We got a lot of work done on the driveway. We busted a lot of rocks and trimmed up trees that were too close to the road, and then other trees that had busted under their weight of snow this year. But one thing I wasn't expecting was this. This was not supposed to happen. It was supposed to be sunny today. And sunny and cool. But instead it's it's actually still snowing right now. You probably can't see it, but little bitty flakes. But this is a problem. I'm supposed to be working today, and I can't work in this. I don't know. I gotta check the weather again and see when the sun's gonna be back out. Hopefully later on today. The ground actually isn't wet. I mean, it's damp, but it's not muddy, which is good for me because if the sun comes out, it'll dry right up and I can go back to work. So this is Sadie's first time in the snow. She's not sure what to make of it, but it looks like she's having fun. So, all right, well, I'm gonna let you guys go and check the weather, make some coffee, have some breakfast, and then hopefully by then the sun will be out. I gotta dust off my panels with the squeegee. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Well, it's snowing, really big flakes. It looks awesome. Sorry about that. But I can't get a whole lot done right now. It's coming down pretty good. Just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. On, what's today, Friday? Yeah, Friday. So, that's what today's like. You guys should check this thing out. I'm picking up rocks over here, trying to work on the driveway a bit here. Get these big guys out of the road. Whenever you pick up a rock, we find a little centipede. Little, you know, 2 or 3 inches long. But then we move this little rock here. And what we found underneath it was a little more than little. Let's see if he's still here. Look at that big guy. Holy smokes. That thing is huge. That's probably about 6 inches long. About as big as round as a pin. Man, that thing is massive. Oh, I don't want to mess with that. And of course we got these big huge monster beetles here, and then these little stink bugs. Anyways, it's just some of the wonderful things we found here, moving some rocks, and who knows what else we'll find. So we keep finding animal poop on rocks. It's like they're perfectly positioned on rocks, and it looks like it'd be like a coyote or something like that. But I was talking to my neighbor, and he said that it's not coyote. They're eating all the little berries off these juniper trees. They just eat them, and it looks like that coming out, just crunched up. But he said what they're called a ring-tailed cat. And I didn't know we had any of those up here, but he said they're all over the place out here. And I guess he says they're nocturnal. I haven't done a whole lot of research on them yet, but I've never seen them. He's seen them before at night. And he said if you set up a game cam, you'll see them. But they like to go poop on rocks. I don't know why, but I've probably found 50 or 60 of those rocks with it's perfectly positioned on top of the rock. And that's just how they do their business. So if I can remember to tonight, I'm gonna set up the game cam, try to catch something on there. Today is Saturday, by the way. I think it's April 1st. What did we do yesterday? Well, we didn't do nothing yesterday because it freaking snowed all day yesterday. It only got down to 36, so it wasn't cold enough for it to really stick, but just enough to make everything wet. This morning everything was muddy, so we had to wait till now, which is about 12:30, for the sun to dry it up just enough for us to walk on it. And you can see the tires on the quad and his little dirt bike there. They're still covered in mud. So there's some soft stuff out here, but we're trying to work through it. So we're basically trimming up these trees here along the driveway. This was a gigantic bush. All these branches, that's a lot of stuff we cut off here. It encompassed this whole area all the way to the ground. You couldn't even walk inside of this big bush. The reason why I was trimming it up is A, the limbs are getting real close to the driveway, and B, when we had the heavy snow this winter, one of the major limbs on this tree, like you see it there, it snapped. Actually, a couple of them did. That's part of the limb there. It snapped right over there. And it was hanging down kind of in the driveway. And I've got another one way over there. Just as big a tree as this one, probably bigger. It's got some snapped limbs on it. I'm going to have to trim it up just like I did this one. But I think it looks pretty cool. In fact, I think my kids could actually climb in this thing if they wanted to. I don't know, this tree has a lot of character. I like it. I got rid of some of the smaller limbs that were hanging down on the ground, and just ones that didn't work for the tree, really. And I opened it up a bit, and I don't know, I left this crazy looking one that sticks out like an arm. I like it. I don't know why I do. It's cool. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave these guys here. That they hang down real low. And we'll continue trimming trees and moving rocks. And as you can see, it's extremely cloudy today. We're getting just patches of sunlight. But it's about, what is it, 45 degrees out here right now? 44, 45, something like that. I've been spending a lot of my time, me and my son have been spending a lot of our time on this road, our driveway, trying to make it more accessible for vehicles. My truck is able to make it down the driveway. Of course, my truck sits pretty high off the ground. But the trailer, my light cargo trailer, you can barely see the tip of it way over there in the trees. Sometimes the hitch will drag on one of these rocks that stick up here in the middle. And the back cross member on the end of the trailer, it does the same thing. It'll drag on one of these rocks. Plus, it's just not good for my tires, you know. I can see all the wear marks on the rocks. My tires have been rubbing on them, so we're beating them down with the sledgehammer and prying them out with the pry bar if we can. And we're working our way around to probably the absolute worst spot on my driveway, which is just right around this corner over here. Huge rocks, and I'll show you that here in just a little bit when we get there. So, all right, see you in a bit. Okay, so it's Monday the 3rd, April 3rd. This would be like day 9, I think, up here at the off-grid property. I haven't recorded anything in a few days because me and my son have been working on our driveway for, like, seems like ever. Days and days. And that's kind of boring just to watch driveway work. So, we're having like a blizzard right now that just moved in about 30 minutes ago. It was sunny outside and now it's snowing like crazy. So, yeah, it's been great. So it was like 60, what was it, 60 degrees an hour ago, and now it's like 39, 38 degrees. So this kind of sucks. It's supposed to pass in a couple hours, like 3 or 4 hours, but I have a feeling by then the ground will be covered in snow if this keeps up. So I'm looking through the window of my trailer here. So, yep, that's about it for today. We're done working on the road. If we get sunshine and clear skies tomorrow, we're going to do some other stuff around here. So hopefully that's the case, and I will see you guys then. Okay guys, it's Wednesday, April 5th. We are going home today. It's pretty chilly out here. It's windy, like usual. Let's see. It's about 53 degrees. 53 degrees is actually nice, but when you couple it with the wind, it kind of goes right to the bone. So, all right. So the weather here has been, well, kind of typical, I guess. A pain in the butt. Not been very helpful, especially when we're trying to get a lot of stuff done. So, a lot of days where we couldn't really do much because of how muddy or it was snowing or the wind was just blowing so hard. We just couldn't really do much because of how strong the wind was. We got quite a bit of moisture while we were here. I didn't record a lot of that because it was just boring, but I did not get to the cabin. Imagine that, huh? I got a lot of other things done, but I did not get to the cabin. I brought all this stuff up to finish it off the outside. I got an extra window and stuff like that, but I just didn't get to it this time. So maybe in a couple of weeks, well, maybe in a few weeks when I come back up here, I'll try to knock that out. I don't think I have anything else on my agenda. What else? Let's go over here real quick. Hey. All right, apple tree's doing good. Plum tree over there is doing good. Got a couple more apple trees out there. They're all doing good. This is the only tree that didn't make it. Not sure why, but it's dead. So my peach tree, however, is looking really good. And this is the one that I figured would have the least success because of the hole that I put it in. It was nothing but rock. All that rubble right there came out of that hole. So, but it seems to be doing really well. So I'm happy about that. And this little peach tree over here, it's been nibbled on by animals, but it's still there, and it's getting ready to put out a couple of buds, a couple of flowers, so that's cool. I'm happy about that. Got to plant a couple of crabapple trees out here somewhere. Not sure where. Anyways, my intention was to come up here and put together the barbecue, get the cell phone signal booster going, put in that 30 amp plug for my trailer, plant some trees, and finish the outside of the cabin. Well, I got everything done on that list except for the cabin. And the reason why is I had planned on my wife coming up here for a few days, bringing the rest of the kids. So my son and I, we kind of made it our mission to make this driveway. I call it a driveway. It's about a quarter mile long. It goes from the edge of my property to my camp. We made it our mission to make this thing drivable by car. And if you see one of my earlier videos, probably my first video, two videos was something about rain, kind of boring. The first real video about my property. This road was jacked up. I mean, you could not hardly drive on it, and I think I was driving while filming. You could see how bumpy it was, and maybe the camera didn't do it justice, but it was really bad. It was just a pain. I was always scraping on stuff trying to get in here. In my, my four-wheel drive truck that was not at stock height. My trailer, my little white cargo trailer, that thing's constantly dragging on stuff, scraping, denting the frame, just a pain. So we spent a lot of work out here clearing rocks. It took us, I think, 3 or 4 days we spent out here busting this road down. A lot of the bigger boulders that we could not move, we broke them up with sledgehammers. It took us forever to beat them down, but we did. And not only that, but we had to do a lot of tree trimming. I'm going to show you this tree over here, which I didn't get to, but this is what happens when these trees get a lot more snow than they're used to. I mean, the weight of the snow, it just snapped these two mature large branches like they were nothing. So, and I found this all over my property. Many trees have this. So I'm gonna have to go through and eventually trim it all out. But there were some trees that I had to trim because they were right next to my roadway, and the limbs were pretty much hanging into my driveway here. So most of the trees around here look like a giant bush like that, but as you'll see here in a minute, we did quite a bit of trimming. So this tree, for instance, up here in front of us, that thing was massive. You couldn't see around it, you couldn't see through it, and it was hanging out here into the driveway right where my dog is there. And we had a couple limbs that had broken off and were laying here in the driveway. So we spent quite a while trimming this guy up. I don't know what it is about this tree. I like it. It just has a lot of character. So I went ahead and left some of the weird looking limbs. But you can see all the stuff we cut off back there. Quite a bit. But man, it really opened up the driveway here. You can see a lot of the rocks that we dug out. A lot of other trees we just never trimmed them, kind of like this tree here. We never got rid of them. They're right next to the driveway. I went ahead and left this one because there's a pretty large rock here in the ground that we couldn't move. And I wanted that tree to be there just as a marker so I know, watch out. But we did a lot of trimming on other trees. Again, a lot of rock removal. And I mean, it goes on and on. This stuff, it goes on and on and on. You can see all the brush on the ground up there that we cut off these trees up here. Say, come on. I mean, if I could keep the tree, I just trimmed it up and I left the tree, like this little guy right here. I think it's far enough away from the driveway that it'll grow up and it might hang over up high, but that's okay. But these trees, I initially cut this path just so I could get my travel trailer through here. Well, they've kind of overgrown in the last almost 2 years. Hey, shh. And so I had to do quite a bit of trimming on these. What are you growling at? What do you see? You see something I don't see. She went and chased after her first set of longhorns yesterday that were wandering on our property. I think she sees that tree over there and she's not sure about it. Hey, let's go. Anyways, this tree that I've done a lot of cutting on, that thing stuck way out into the road, and you can see by my tracks how I had to go around it quite a bit. It was an ugly tree. It looked like it had been through hell, and I was thinking about just chopping it down completely, but as I started trimming it, I just had to keep it. I like it. It's actually a really old tree. What else? Yeah, anyways, I'm not going to keep going because I can go forever on all the work we did on this road, but it goes on and on and on. We moved a lot of rock, cut a lot of trees down, trimmed a lot of trees. I mean, and just beat the crap out of rock with sledgehammers. That was the worst of it, I think. Just hours and hours and hours after, day after day. So, hey, let's go. Where are you going now? Oh, dog. What are you doing? Let's go. Sadie. That dog is something else. Sometimes I wonder if she's leading me. Alright, well, I guess we're going to go over here. Try to figure out what the heck she's doing. Come on. Let's go. Now what? Sadie, come on. Hey. What in the world are you doing, dog? Ay, ay, ay. Cut a whole bunch off of this tree, as you can see over there. And here. Great, where'd she go? Sadie! Well, all right then. This spot right here was the worst. You can see all the rock we took out. And there's a couple of rocks here in the middle that we had to leave. We had to beat them down with the sledgehammer. They were huge. And we were like, it was like a, I don't know what you call it, but we were always driving over these things and it was tipping the truck sideways and then tipping the trailer sideways. And anyways, it took us a while to hammer those down, and then we had to do some fill around them just to try to make this drivable. So anyways, now a car can get through here no problem, which I'm totally stoked about because that was one of the things holding me back from doing other things out here. So I'm gonna let you guys go so I can find my dog, and I'll get back with you here in a little bit. Okay, I found her. I don't know what she was doing. Probably chasing after another cow or a rabbit or something. Okay, so yesterday I had a whole bag full of seeds that I had up here. I don't know, probably about 900, 800 ponderosa pine seeds. I had Douglas fir seeds, and I had some pecan tree seeds. I walked all throughout this area dispersing seeds on both sides of the road here. I don't think I showed you guys this before. This was my very first camp here 2 years ago, before we knew anything about what was back there. There was no driveway. We 4x4'd our way through here in May of 15. And I think this spot is on one of my first videos I did where it's just nothing but pictures. It's a slideshow. You see my boys digging a hole in my tent. This is where it was at right here. not bad. I mean, it hasn't really grown over at all in 2 years. But this is where we started, right here. Anyways, I dispersed all those seeds throughout. I buried all the pecan tree seeds. I buried quite a bunch of them, probably, I don't know, 30, 40, 30. I buried some more ponderosa pine tree seeds, Douglas fir. I had so many ponderosa seeds that I wasn't going to bury them all because I'd be out here for a day. So I just started kind of tossing them around. For whatever reason, the trees seem to have more success here when they're growing up beside another small tree. It keeps the critters away from them when they're real small. Sorry. Put a bunch of the seeds in with like these little trees right here in hopes that they are left alone long enough to grow up a little bit. But yeah, I spread all those seeds out from the south side of my property all the way to the north side of my property. And I put out some more no trespassing signs on one corner of my property that I never did. So, and that's where we found the longhorns yesterday. She thought she was gonna scare them, and they looked at her like, please. So, I know this video is getting kind of long, but I think it was a few months ago I was out here. I think I mentioned this earlier in this video, but I planted a bunch of ponderosa pine seeds. I have a field right out here, and I didn't realize how many I'd planted. I went and looking around at them yesterday, and there's several areas that I planted them, and they've all sprouted, which is great. Get around this tree here, and you'll see this whole area out here. I don't know how many I planted, tons of them. But in different little areas you'll see, well, you won't see, but I've seen, they're just popping up like weeds. I can find one real quick. This soil here is really soft, it's really fluffy, and it's real easy for those trees to take root. Here we go, right here. So, something like this I did. I just dug my foot in a line there, sprinkled a whole bunch of those seeds, and just covered them up. I never had to water them or anything, and they just naturally, they germinated and sprouted up. I did this all over this field here. I can't remember all the spots they are right now, but they're out here. And here's some more over here. Walked right by them and didn't see them. I don't even know if I saw these yesterday. But anyways, I did this all over the place. My plan is I'm going to wait till they get about a couple years old. They'll be a little crowded. And then I'll take them out and move them. Transplant them into other areas once they're a little more established. So they seem to be doing pretty good in the soil here with the natural rainfall, which is quite a bit. We get a lot of rainfall up here. That's something that some of my viewers don't seem to understand. Hey, watch where you're walking there. Dang it, dog. I think because I'm in Arizona that we don't get a lot of rain. In northern Arizona, we get a lot of rain. Southern Arizona doesn't, but northern Arizona does. It's like every time I come up here it's raining, or or it rains at some point, or it snows. So moisture is not a problem here. If you can't tell, everything here is green. Very green. So for those of you who think that we don't get rain, it's hard to grow things up here because we don't get rain, that's not true. We get lots of rain here. Okay, so moisture is not a problem. I haven't had to water any of my trees. None of my apple trees, peach, none of those trees. I don't have to water them because we get plenty of rainfall here. So that is definitely not an issue. Sadie, come on. Come on. Great. She's digging up another gopher or prairie dog. Hey, come on. What a nut. Okay. So I got to plant some trees here real quick. I got to clean up, pack up, and I got to hit the road. Mama wants me home, so and she wants her son back. I don't blame her. All right, I'll let you guys go. That'll probably be the end of it for this long video. I'll probably split this up into 2 parts because it's so long. But looks like we're getting some more clouds up here. All right, that'll be it for this one. I'm not sure when I'll be back up here. If I had anything to do with it, it'd be next weekend. But you know, that's not how it works. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Take care.